Check out DJ Wick on the Throwback Throwdown Sunday at 7 p.m. Streaming live at WBOK1230.com. So it is the dress code that was just heard around the social media world. Tuskegee University updated their student dress code policy. Send a communication out to students, letting them know about the update, what the expectations were. And then it became fodder for news. And I'm talking about HBCU news outlets. And it hit social media and all hell broke loose. And I have thoughts about the merits of both sides of this argument. Now, I don't want to get into the policy itself for a very simple reason. Tuskegee University is a private university. They can do what they want to do. And I mean that. I don't mean that sarcastically. They really can do what they want to do. So it is what it is. The other reason I don't really want to get into the policy itself is that all indications are that a pretty good amount of the students at Tuskegee don't really care that much. It is what it is to them. So there are those students who do oppose the updates to the policy, but there are a lot of other students who are either worried about other things or they just don't think the policy is that big a deal. But let's take a look at a couple of things that are need to know items about this policy. Number one, the university's student dress code policy is not new. This one is an update. And so they were communicating with the students about the updates to the policy so they can know them before they get to campus for the 2026-2027 academic year. Um, the other thing about this policy, and this is very important, this is not a campus wide policy, it's not some kind of 24/7 thing. This is a policy that calls for students to wear or not to wear certain things at certain times in certain places. And so if the students want to go out and ball and parlay at the football games in a bonnet and a do-rag, nothing in the policy says that they can't do that. At least that's not what I saw. The other thing is that the students do have a resource, and they have the Golden Tiger Community Closet. So, hey, guess what? It's Black Philanthropy Month. If you would like to donate to the Tuskegee University Golden Tiger Community Closet, I'm sure that they will take a gently worn business outfit from you. I'm sure they will take it. Or even better, they will take a monetary donation. So those are a couple of things about the dress code policy that I think is important to put on the table. Now, am I for or against this dress code? I'm actually for it. I don't think it's that big a deal. Students graduating from Tuskegee University, they're not going to have to deal with the dress code policy anymore. And I think it's important also to bring up that I'm not anti-bonnet or do-rag. I'm not one of these people. I've worked on college campuses. And listen, when students need to dress down and they need to loosen up, that's okay. It happens. It most definitely happens. At Tuskegee, if a student is hanging out on a yard after class and they're just talking to their friends and they got their bonnets and their do-rags on, doesn't look like it's that big a deal. And so I don't necessarily see this dress code as restrictive. And I'm going to bring up why in just a couple of minutes here. But I do see it as trying to push students in a certain direction to do a certain thing. Now, I want to make this very important point as well. There are people who have had some pretty nasty things to say about folks wearing bonnets and do-rags in public. I don't think that's right. I don't think that wearing a bonnet or a do-rag in public correlates with someone's dignity. Um, by the same token, though, there are these folks who have been very judgmental of those who support the business attire part. I mean, some pretty rough language was used. And I don't see business attire, on the other hand, as some sort of attempt to appease the white man. Here's my biggest argument. My biggest argument about this dress code, and this is where I see the merit in people who support the policy, is that a dress code, if presented well, can be a powerful tool of personal leadership development. It can help teach, especially students, especially Generation Z and Generation Alpha coming up right behind them. It can teach students situational awareness, and then it can also teach them to really pay attention to what the bigger picture is. So, this is something that I learned about situational awareness as it relates to a dress code. I was interviewing for my first big higher education job. I was a director of public relations. And when my boss to be made the offer, they saw that I had an earring. I love that earring. I love wearing my earrings, right? And they also had already laid out that they expected me to wear a shirt and tie to work every day. Let's address the earring first. They asked if there was some religious significance for wearing the earring. I said no. Any cultural significance? I said no. I just love wearing the earring. It's a fashion statement. And so they asked me, could you not wear the earring when you're in the office? Okay, no big deal. But let me tell you about this suit part. You may not realize this about me, and you may find this to be a bit unexpected. I despise wearing suits. I hate wearing suits. I really do. And one of the reasons I hate wearing suits so much is they're uncomfortable. The shirt, the tie, the jacket, especially when my body starts changing a little bit. I'm gaining a little weight right now, and so when I wear a suit, it is hell for me because the pants are squeezing my gut, and I got the jacket on, and the jacket is tight in the shoulder, and then the process of ironing stuff, and I love cufflinks, but I hate having to put cufflinks on, and I hate ironing shirts that have the cufflink, the cuff. I hate. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. And so when I was sitting there thinking about the fact that I would have to wear a shirt and tie every day, I almost fell out of my chair. I really hate, I kid you not, I really hate wearing shirt and tie that much. I really do. But I do it. I do it because the occasion calls for it. Listen, if somebody called me and say, "Hey, Eddie, I got a wedding coming up. I want to see you there." I'm wearing a shirt and tie to this person's wedding. When I pay my respects to people, when they have taken their last breath, and there's a wake or there's a funeral, I wear a shirt and tie. I wear a suit. And so the situational awareness part of this that really can be taught to students. And after all, Tuskegee mentioned this in their policy, and we talk about it all the time. We say it all the time. These colleges, they don't prepare the kids for life after college. We say it all the time. The funny thing was to see how many people say colleges don't prepare students, and this is something to prepare students, and they say, well, that's not enough. But I mean, when my boss to be asked me to wear a shirt and tie and not to wear the earring, and I hated this request to not wear the earring, by the way. I could not stand this request. I did what they asked me to do. Because the bigger picture there was that I wanted that job. And I knew that that job would represent a big career pivot for me, a pivot I wanted, by the way. That was the big picture. Situational awareness. This is your boss to be asking you to do this. What you're going to do? You're going to fight your boss before you get the job? Before you get there, you're going to fight him on this stuff? One of the stories or one of the situations that I saw was that there was this brother who was working for this big healthcare company. And I remember I would see this brother's picture in the newsletter all the time. Brother had a fade, you know, clean as a whistle, made it to the C-suite, vice president. I can't remember of what. Brother looking clean as a whistle, shirt and tie all the time, right? Looking suited and booted, doing this thing. And then I noticed his hair growing a little bit. And then it grew out a little bit much. And he's in a C-suite now. And the next thing I know, this brother got locks. And I said, oh, nicely played, my friend. Nicely played. Yep. Conservative hairstyle until you have a voice. And it really, I saw that hairstyle was making a statement. My point is this. If he always wanted locks, situational awareness taught this brother that there was a time and place to fight for the locks. And I think he just got to this place where he said, you know what? I'm in a C-suite. You know that I know what I'm doing. I'm helping to make this company money. Here come the locks. Is that fair? No. It's not fair. But it is what it is. The thing is that when you take a look at it another way, then you start to realize what some of the politics are here and why they happen. Let me give you a scenario of you're being the owner of an auto repair shop. Nobody's wearing a suit to that joint, not to work there, right? So you do have a uniform though, and you do have a dress code. And the dress code is very simple. Come in neat, uniform neat. That means that the shirt is tucked in, is buttoned up to a certain place. You wear your hat a certain way, or don't wear the hat at all. Whatever it is you decide to do with this dress code, right? And you have people coming to your shop. And you have people coming to your shop because your techs do quality work. They fix a car, the car is good. They can be trusted. And then something very interesting happens. You notice that you are starting to lose customers. And something else is going on at the same time. Curiously, your techs are getting a bit more lax. They're starting to walk in, their shirts are open, they got the t-shirt showing or the tank top showing, and they got the grease and all that stuff all over the tank top. Now, yes, I know that the grease is going to be on the clothes either way, but you decide to do something very clever. You have this competitor across town, and you've heard that your competitor is starting to pick off some of your customers. And so you send somebody over there. You secret shop the place. Now, your competitor hasn't been running any specials or anything. Nothing any more than what you do. But you notice that consistently, you're just kind of losing customers. Not a big loss, but you're noticing it's enough. The margins are telling you that you're losing customers, and you're noticing that you're not getting as much foot traffic as you normally do. Your secret shopper comes back to you and says, man, let me tell you something. The first thing I noticed when I walk in that place across town, they are clean as a whistle. The techs, the mechanics, they got the shirts tucked in and they got grease all over them and everything from working on the car, but they got the shirts tucked in. Nobody's wearing a hat to the back. They're all wearing the hats to the front, or they're not wearing the hats at all. They have the shirts buttoned up. And I can tell they hate, working in those shirts like that. I can tell they can't stand it. But that's what they're doing. They're working in these shirts, and they look good. They're not wearing jeans. They're wearing khakis, and so this person goes down the list and you notice that what's happening here is that the first thing this person is bringing up is they look clean as a whistle. And it's not that the shop is a better shop. The performance is about the same. The texts are about the same. But the look is doing something here. The look is looking. They're wearing tech uniforms. How special could it possibly be? Well, maybe what explains it is something that I heard Saints great wide receiver Joe Horn say. I remember that there was a game, and the um, the announcers had they had spoken to Joe Horn before the game, and they noticed that he laid out his uniform, and they asked him why he laid it out, and he said, "You know what? I like to wear my uniform neat. I like to visualize myself in the uniform because if you look good, you play good." Deion Sanders says something similar. Maybe Joe Horn got it from him, but Deion Sanders is known for saying, "If you look good, you feel good, and if you feel good, you play good." That is about mentality, and it is also about presentation. I mean, come on now. We have these photo shoots of black men in suits. How many of these brothers out of the 50 brothers with the suits on, how many of them got their chest just poked all the way out? Peacocking around, proud as they could be. It's a mentality. But it's also about situational awareness. It's about what the dress code can teach, not what the dress code is asking students to wear or not to wear. Now, there's another side of this. By the way, I'm Eddie Francis. This is The Way Forward, and we're talking about the pros and cons of the Tuskegee University dress code, and of course, the dress codes that go with other HBCUs. But the con is this. The part where I understand people getting upset is the word professional. Professional is a word that Black folks do not have the coziest relationship with. Now, let's take a look at the definition. The definition of professionalism is, according to Merriam-Webster, quote, a set of qualities, behaviors, and ethical standards that show a person is competent, reliable, and respectful in a workplace or formal setting. It combines high skill, good judgment, accountability, and polite conduct. But what happens with professionalism is that it gets framed as something outside of that definition. And what winds up happening is that professionalism becomes something that is in the eye of the beholder. In other words, I understand why people got upset with the word professionalism because what's coded in it is doing that which is acceptable to white people. And I get that. I understood that part when people said, no, I do not like that they're telling these students they have to look professional. So let me give you a parallel to this, the great man theory, which was developed by Thomas Carlyle in the 19th century. Thomas Carlyle was a historian and an essayist. He was Scottish. And the great man theory basically says that great people are those who have innate abilities, and those people are the ones who need to lead the masses. And by the way, the masses are in need of direction. This flies in the face of growth mindset, which says that anybody can basically learn just about anything if you put your mind to it, right? That's not what the great man theory is saying. The great man theory is saying that you have to be born with it. Now, let's put it together now. This was developed by, to be blunt, a white man. So when he wrote about people having to have innate abilities, they got to have it in order to achieve it, in order to be great, I think it is safe to say that number one, the automatic bias in the great man theory is that it is called the great man theory. But the thing is that Western society, our concept of professionalism and leadership, by the way, is heavily based on the views of white men. Now, this is not to say that white men have done something wrong, but that's where we have been for a very long time. The concept of professionalism is why we now have the Crown Act. Black women being told your hair isn't professional. To whom? Who has been saying this a lot of times? And what did we learn to say? A lot of us in the Black community about hair in years past. So I think the mission here, should we choose to accept it, is to reframe professionalism. The definition isn't bad. It's what people do with the definition that matters. And there are a couple of areas when we talk about professionalism where I think our HBCUs can be intentional and they can focus specifically. And one of those areas is behavior. But when we talk about behavior in terms of professionalism, what are we talking about? Within the definition, if we stick tightly to the definition, we're talking about being respectful. We're talking about being cordial with people. I mean, whether Black folks like it or not, it really isn't helpful to fly off the handle at people in the workplace. Lord knows we want to. I've done it a few times. And guess what? It didn't turn out all that great for me. I have lost professionalism many times throughout my career because I did not monitor my behavior. You can beat someone with respectful behavior, ethical standards, doing the right thing, even if the rules or the guidelines tell you not to do the right thing. Competence, know how to do your job. Reliability, do what you say you're going to do. And judgment, I brought it up a little earlier, situational awareness, and of course, respect. If we focus tightly on those aspects of the word professional, then I think people will feel it land a bit differently with them. Because a big assumption when Tuskegee trotted out the word professional in this policy, the assumption is that it was to appease white people. And we have to also think about the impact that identity plays in professionalism as well, because identity is not just what you think of yourself, it's also what other people think of you. And I know that is a hard pill to swallow, but it is both things. And sticking tightly to that definition can help as far as establishing an independent identity that still helps you do your job with excellence while being able to work well with other people. And also, I do think it is worth it to think about the impact of presentation and mindset. I mean, forget about the Joe Horn, Deion Sanders thing. You know what? Let's talk about the club. I have spoken to so many club owners who talked about, back in the day, I don't know if people still do this, but back in the day, we used to have your Friday night happy hour where there was a dress code and Saturday night where it was anything goes almost. Baggy jeans, hat to the back, whatever, oversized polo. That was the deal, right? Or oversized tee. And club owners, I have spoken to, I don't know, I've spoken to, I don't know, over a dozen of them. And they all said, man, I'm telling you right now, Friday night is my favorite night because everybody's dressed, everybody's looking good, everybody's behaving themselves. You got some people kind of get into it, but we calm it down real quick because ain't nobody trying to mess their suits up. Saturday night, whole different ball game. Hands flying all over the place, drink flying across the bar. And I'm like, well, why are you still doing your Saturday night? Because that's when I make a lot of money. I'm not giving up that night. And I need some of these youngins to come in here because I need a new generation. But I love Friday night. And you can see it. Like when you went to those, you went to those happy hours, you could see everybody was feeling good about themselves. They were dressed. They were doing good, having fun on top of all of that, sweating a suit out on the dance floor. That is a good night. So when we talk about professionalism, and HBCUs are talking about this in terms of their dress codes, forget about the attire. I think the important thing in the messaging is to really dig into the intention of professionalism and making sure that the institution frames professionalism in a way that is going to benefit the students, not necessarily to say y'all making me look bad. Because I do believe, by the way, that that's not a great message either. I do believe that the message that we want to send to our students is, hey, listen, we want to help you be at your best, and this is how you're going to do it. And by the way, it is not about what you wear. It is about what you communicate to people through your visual presentation. So listen, the next time that you want to jump into the conversation about professionalism and HBCUs, I think we should question what they mean by professionalism. But by the same token, give that institution the space to do what they think is best for the students and do what's best for them. Coming up next is the go forward message. When it comes to giving, it's true that no amount is too small. I'm Eddie Francis, and this is the way forward on WBOK.